put a background up.
Oh, right, exactly.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. First order of business is the pledge to the flag. So I will mute everyone and ask you all to join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go on with our meeting, we have a presentation tonight that was not on the agenda because I just found out about it yesterday. But it's from Pete Benfey, who has been working with the Park and Tree Board on the Wiswall Park renovation project. And so I'm going to unmute Pete, and I'm going to share my screen with the drawing that he provided us. And I think, let's see.
You can shrink it a little bit, I think, so it all shows.
I'm going to promote Pete to a panelist, and then I think if we set our, if everybody else mutes, then he'll maybe show up on our screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can't see you though.
Okay. All
So
right.
your video is not on.
Wait a minute. There we go.
Now we've got you.
Technology, it's a wonderful thing.
Okay, thanks for joining us tonight, and I'll
Thank
turn
you.
it over to you.
Okay, I'm Pete Benfey. I work with the Aquatic Development Group. We design and build water parks internationally. But my wife is involved in the Ballston Spa Rotary, and she volunteered me to assist here. So Liz Cornos and Ray Otten, Stacy Simmons, and I, and Pete Champagne have been working on this pre-pandemic. We had a little period where we obviously broke away from it, but I think what we're looking at doing here is to beautify the village park, spruce it up, do some plantings, some flower beds, trees, improvements in general in the for the park. So why don't I walk you through from the upper left? Why don't we start there? Right now there's a tree that's been badly pruned. It's in poor shape, so we're looking at replacing that. The power transformer, et cetera, is right to the east of that, to the right of that. And Stacy had a good idea of putting a fence, a screening fence around it, so that you can hang banners and artwork and information all around that as a basic idea of interacting with the public. See, the next one down, okay, is the new pavilion with tables, which is in the center top. The existing pavilion's in rough shape. It's not ADA accessible. We wanted to make the park more accessible to everyone, more user-friendly. So what we're proposing is up to a 20 by 30 pavilion with a couple of different options for table sizes, maybe some bistro tables outside, some picnic tables inside, to have a programmable space. Two people can come and enjoy it, or you could have, let's say, a little wedding party or whatnot. The path it's not very elegant, the existing path. So what we were looking at doing is to replace that with a brick path. One entry, the main entry off Front Street, side entry off of Low Street, and the third entrance next to the pavilion to the alleyway next to Augie's retaining wall. Feel free to jump in, Liz, or any of the other people if you have comments. The spring has not been operational for a while. So in the bottom left corner, we were looking at building a pavilion to house the spring, house some seating areas around it, repiping that spring so that it's actually working, and make it more like some of the pavilions with the springs that Saratoga has. Really give that type of historic feel to it. Coming around to the main entry on Front Street, there are two rocks, boulders with plaques that are just to the right of that. We were looking at making this historic signage element, the entryway here, having the boulders on either side flanking the entryway, having another historic plaque or information signage as the focal point as you enter the walkway from Front Street. And then you have the circular walk. It's an organic, irregular shape walkway all around the center lawn, with benches and solar lighting and some new trees, some of the existing trees. Do you have any questions as we go? Yes, Christine? You're muted.
Christine, unmute.
Christine, if you push alternate A, it'll unmute. There you go.
Okay, now I don't have the picture, I'm sorry. But in any
Yeah, I'll
event,
put the picture back up. I just had to make it disappear for a minute so that I could turn your microphone back on.
okay, all right, yeah, because I tried to turn it on. Okay, and it didn't work. Okay, I just have a couple of questions. I see that you have the Christmas tree
Mhm.
in the bottom right corner.
That would be a new tree to be planted.
It would be, so it would be a permanent,
That's the idea.
like pine there that would be used as a Christmas tree.
Hmm.
Okay, one of the things I was wondering, this looks, it's wonderful. I think that and I think, I mean, I congratulate you all who worked on it. It looks like it'll be a very usable and inviting place. I had one question. I know that they do one question is, I know they do movies during the summer, and they use the wall, which would be where behind where the tree is, and this, whatever is, as you're looking at this on the right-hand side, would there still be space for that? And also enough space probably would be in the middle, in the lawn area for those functions, but that's what they do. They do, they do theater and, movies in the park in the summer. And I'm just wondering how that would they still have access to the wall of that building, which is Henry's? to do that. And
Christine?
my second question is, if I may, just let me get them both out while I'm thinking of them. What about, is there, how do you envision working the farmer's market into this?
I think I can answer both of those questions because, you know, Stacy has been involved in this, and BSBPA is already agreed to move the farmer's market down to Brookline, the museum, as a new spot.
You mean
And-
the Iron Spring?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually to the museum.
To the
The
museum, okay.
concerts have already been moved, you know, we held some this year to the Iron Spring Park. It has a larger stage, you know, it's sort of a natural amphitheater. And the thought is, you know, to possibly move the movies in the park also to there with a screen, you know, over the stage area. And really turn Wiswall Park into more of a pocket park and less of a entertainment venue, and use the Iron Spring for, you know, the entertainment, you know, where you have a crowd of people wanting to sit. One of the comments about the use of Wiswall is that with these large events, it tends to take a beating on the grass and the plantings. So the thought is to turn this more into a pocket park, a casual use. You meet somebody, you know, for lunch, you have a meeting there, you sit, you read, and not so much of an entertainment venue.
I see, okay.
I guess I would add on that. I think we need to see, you know, and I may be jumping the gun here, but I would like to see what are plans for how to accommodate a movie screen. And also, I know we've been having the bands there as of now, but given the slope of the Doubleday Park, I mean, I don't know if it lends itself as well for a lot of the activities. So I would like to see how we plan to accommodate that. And also, in the future, we might want to use this, and it would be more on an occasional basis, use the pavilion for additional musical or other events. If at some point we closed down Front Street and had like a Front Street Fest or something of that nature, I still would want Wiswall Park to maybe be able to accommodate that.
Mhm. Good point. One of the things that Peter didn't talk about is in the upper right corner, this little circular thing is basically an area that's really suited for small children. And it's not, you know, one of the comments we also got from putting it out on Facebook is that people did not want this to become a playground like Kelly Park. But we felt that a lot of the new families coming in with little kids want to go to the park, meet friends, and that there should be a spot that's sort of scaled to small children. So it's like a maze with seating around it that you know, is the scale for small children. And the mothers can sit in the pavilion and around the tables and keep an eye on the kids.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, I was looking at the spring quite a bit in the last few weeks, trying to get it back running for our celebration there the other week. And it struck me that the current structure that feeds it is not particularly attractive,
Mhm,
the brick column. And I
mhm.
wondered if the group had discussed what sort of fixture would dispense the water under your new pavilion scheme. I was imagining, as I was thinking about it a couple of weeks ago, a nice fountain or something like that.
Pete?
I was
You're the water
picturing,
person.
yeah, I was picturing more like what they do at some of the springs in Saratoga. Simple structures, different fountain. opportunities both for drinking, and I wash the pet, the dog fountain down below. We've also talked about having a sort of a little bubbling waterfall type um, naturalistic rock where the water would come up and bubble out and go down. Um, there's lots of different ideas, and it's just a matter of, I guess, pointing out a couple of different themed elements.
Okay, thank you. And the other point that I wanted to make is I really think in the center of our business district, this should feature a lot of seasonal color flower beds. And I realize that right now you have all of the things marked as grass, shrubs, flower beds, etc. But I'd really like for the group to think about some focal spots where some nice, bright displays of summer annuals might be nice, sort of to make the place pop visually when you're walking downtown.
Yeah, that's really the goal. We don't want to, cover it with flowers because it's a lot of maintenance, but in key spots, I agree. We need to have it be, very colorful, a real attraction as you, drive or walk by that draws you into the park.
Right. The corners could be anchor points of color. The main entry obviously would be a good focal point for flower beds. We wanted to keep the center lawn as sort of a play area for people to walk through, to throw a blanket on, to have like kids run through. So that was going to stay as a lawn, but the surrounding, the perimeter of that walkway would all be a mix of grass and flower beds and shrubs.
Yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt real quick and just let you know that Terry has lost connection and internet and power, so she might not be able to rejoin us.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions for Pete about the park design?
Yeah, the one other one I have is the walkway being brick. I just know from the brick sidewalks throughout the village that over time, especially with harsh winters, they tend to heave and become uneven, and they become kind of a big maintenance nightmare. So I'm kind of, I guess I would want to see what exactly you were referring to when you say a brick walkway.
Yeah, we went back and forth as to whether it would be true brick or a faux brick, whether it there are a lot of very, very good concrete stamp options out now. We use in our parks all over, which work out great. And it's really a matter of talking through the committee and talking with you, your committee, and
Yeah, we'd like it to be a brick because it reflects the surrounding buildings, versus the current asphalt.
I understand. It's just 10 years from now, DPW could be spending an awful lot of time
well,
repairing
another
it.
thing we could do is to have a good sub base,
Mhm.
properly compacted, and
Right,
with dust or with a
typically
concrete base.
for that, you're gonna have to hog out at least a foot below, plus, and then
Right.
put back with sand and stone.
Yeah.
Stone dust works well.
Yeah.
It creates a stronger sub base.
Yeah, we haven't gotten down to this level of detail. We wanted to, present this concept plan to the board, for your comments. We're also, it's been shown to some of the folks at BSBPA, but we want to, take it out to a broader group and then try to finalize a plan and work up a budget and a work plan for it.
Do we have a budget yet, a rough estimate?
No. not yet. We will probably recommend doing it in phases. Right now, as anyone who goes in the park knows, it's completely overgrown with a invasive bishop's weed that you can't, put anything in, and it just gets taken over a lot of the shrubs. So, the first step would be to remove a lot of material and cut the trees that need to be cut, and then, replant grass, etc. And the pavilions may take a little bit longer, in the second or third phase.
Um,
Fitzpatrick, you had a question?
Yes, I do. Liz, when you folks put this together and the budget together, I'm assuming you'll also put something in on how it'll be maintained, like who's gonna, and the cost of, annual flowers and,
Mhm.
taking care of, who's gonna clean or put out the tables in the winter or in the summer and, maintain it and that kind of stuff, and what the
Yeah.
cost of that would be.
Yeah, I don't see, it being much more maintenance than the park is currently. And the tables, we have to determine whether they're gonna be permanent type tables or just tables you put out. There's concerns about people stealing tables. But, we haven't worked that out, but the gardens would probably be part of the, adopt the plot, the, budget
Mhm.
as they were in the past.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions about the park design? I
Please
think,
send us any additional comments you think of or ideas.
Yeah, I assume at some point, we're gonna have a public, present that to the public again, once we
Mhm.
get it more fleshed out.
Yep.
Well, thank you. It's very exciting. It looks like it's going to be great.
all right. Pete, thanks again for being with us tonight. I put you
Thank you,
first on the
Peter.
agenda so that you didn't have to stick around if you didn't want to. But thanks for all your help and for giving us that presentation tonight.
Thank you, and everyone stay healthy.
Okay.
You
Thank
too.
you.
All right, moving on then with the agenda. We've got the minutes of October 26th. Were there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Just had one in the description, let me bring it up here. Of the consultant on the linkage grant, it says team of VHB. It's team of VHB and planning for places. It's two organizations that bid together for the linkage grant. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I will note that change because I don't think the clerk is with us right now.
Okay.
So I'll note that one change on page 3. Anything else on those minutes? Could I have a motion that they be approved with that one amendment?
So
I'll
moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. And that brings us to mayor announcements. I want to remind the board that I think it was 2 years ago, Trustee Shaw and Raymond were members of the board at that time, so they can verify this. The board voted to lease a little square of land behind the swimming pool parking lot to Friends of the Cateroff. Build a clubhouse, and we talked about having interpretive materials and educational materials on the wall facing the parking lot that kids might see when they were going to the swimming pool. Nothing ever got done on that. I found a file in Attorney Fauci's files that said FOK lease, but it was empty. So I kind of picked up on that. And the survey was completed last week. We had to get it surveyed first to provide the legal description of the property to be leased. And Friends of the Cateros paid for that survey, by the way, the village did not. And so our attorney will be drawing up that lease agreement for our review and approval at some point over the next few meetings. So I just wanted to let you know that that has been picked back up and put back in motion.
Will the village be receiving a copy of that mapping?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The first meeting of the Public Safety Committee was held this past Wednesday, November 4th. All members attended, plus one member of the public on Zoom. It was a very good group. There was good discussion. I was very pleased with the way the meeting went. Lori AC agreed to be the chairperson of the group, and Susanna Amite will be the recorder taking the minutes. So we've got that structure set up. We've got the meeting schedule set, and our next meeting is Wednesday, November 18th at 7 o'clock, and that will be posted, and the Zoom information will be available for anybody who wants to attend. I have a resignation from Grant Sosha, who was a part-time police officer in the police force. We're sorry to see him go, and Chief Bush is working on his replacement. I also have a resignation from Ed Furneaux, who was an alternate on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Ed was a regular member of the ZBA for many, many years before resigning a few years ago to become alternate. And I want to really thank him for his combined 30 years of service to the village on the ZBA. And we will miss having him there. And that does, of course, create another opening for an alternate on the ZBA. I have received a couple of nominations from the board for alternates for the planning board, as I announced last time, and I'm told that at least one more is coming in. So hopefully I'll have some recommendations to you next meeting on filling those positions. If you know anybody who might be interested in the ZBA alternate, please let me know. It's possible that somebody from the planning board alternate pool might be interested in ZBA as well, because it looks like we have more nominations for that than we have slots. I did receive the report from the mayor's ad hoc committee on zoning. I thought it was a very thoughtful report, very informative and very useful. So I will be forwarding that to the board for your information sometime this week. And I will have some recommendations for how we move forward as a village with our zoning process at our next meeting, after we've all had a chance to read that report and think about it. And last, I received plans today for what they're calling a reverse Christmas parade. The concept is that instead of gathering everybody at Wiswall Park this year, we would have a much smaller parade, a few fire vehicles escorted by a police car with Santa in the fire truck that would go around to the neighborhoods and wave to the kids, so that the kids and the parents would actually stay home instead of all congregating together during the pandemic. I will scan that and forward it to the board, and I'll put it on the next agenda. But I wanted to point out one issue that I saw when I was looking at it this afternoon, and that is that the planned route goes outside the village fairly extensively. And obviously, this board can approve an event to take place outside of the village. And obviously, our police cannot escort such an event outside of the village. So my inclination is to ask the organizers to revise the route so that it stays in the village. If you share that inclination, I will ask them to do that and get me a new routing that I can send you along with the other material they sent. Any thoughts or comments?
Well, I think it's important that they have police escort the whole time.
Yeah.
So, just for safety reasons.
Mhm.
Well, I think if they did go outside the village, they would have to get a permit from the town of Milton, and they'd have to get an escort from the county sheriff. But the village can't approve either of those things.
It sounds like
Yeah.
it's getting really complicated really
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great idea. I mean, kudos to them for innovation.
Yep.
It really, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think it's probably they have, I don't know what, I haven't seen the route. We talked about it at the BSBPA and we thought this would be a way to get the kids to see Santa and have a parade. But, just the routes, you got to go, to turn around, you got to go out of the village to get back into the village if so.
Yeah, the big trucks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will proceed that way then, and I'll forward to you what I get back from them.
Mhm.
That brings us to old business. And under old business, I wanted to continue our discussion of chapter 200, the water and sewer chapter. Trustee Cormos had worked with the village attorney to do a draft local law on that. And as the board knows, I spent a couple hours reading the entirety of chapter 200, and I found some other issues that I think we should address. As long as we're doing a local law, I think it ought to address all of the issues that need to be addressed. So I wanted to run those by you quickly and make sure everybody is comfortable with this. And then Trustee Cormos has agreed to continue to work with the village attorney to revise that local law. The first thing is we were trying to remove the fees, the amounts from the law. And in sections 41 and 42, there's a specific dollar amount fee for multiple residences, $45 per unit in the first year, $60 per unit in the second year, and $70 in the third and subsequent year. I thought that probably should also be taken out of the code and placed into the fee schedule.
Yeah, I agree.
I also wondered why we only charge that for multiple unit residences of over 90 units. I'm not entirely sure we even have any multiple unit residences of over 90 units in the village.
Yeah.
But we
Yes,
certainly have a lot of duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes.
I think that law was written when Doubleday Woods was built. And that's what it originates from. And they do have, I think, 96 units at Doubleday. And then it's also been applied to the nursing home. So those are the two facilities that are currently charged the $70. Now, I don't think the rate has changed since 1983 when it was put in place. Right. So, but if we take it out, then we can examine it and see whether we want to change the rate. I don't know if you want to change the unit size. We have other complexes that have smaller numbers of units.
Yeah, and not all of them have separate water meters for each unit either.
Right.
So I think we're, in some cases, serving multiple living units on a single water meter. Right.
Although now with the rates increasing with the amount of gallons used, there isn't an advantage to having one more water meter serve more than one residence. It
Well,
used to be.
Yeah. Are we gonna capture, essentially, are we gonna capture that because we're going to have a better handle on water usage?
Right.
And I mean, I assume we have a separate rate for multifamily versus single residence?
no.
We
Just,
do not.
just the
There-
ones that are over 90 units. 90 units or more have a separate rate.
I mean, I tend to use 10,000 gallons. So you could put 3 of me in a house and still be under the 30,000 minimum.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess my question is, do you want to discuss that before we finalize this law?
I would say for the time being, leave the law as it is and take the fees out. And then, that's something we can do, I think, later, unless we want to discuss. We also have to know the number of units. The county does charge sewer rates based on units, not on utilization. So,
Well, I can get that information put together before our next meeting if we want to discuss it.
okay,
If we don't want to discuss it, then I won't bother, but it seems to me that it's something that will benefit from having us take a look at it.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
many municipalities charge a different rate for commercial properties, and which they include as properties with 3 or more. I think it's 3 or more units are considered commercial. And so, you charge the residential rate for 1 and 2 family homes and potentially 3, but larger than that is considered a commercial, and they charge a different rate. But that would include restaurants and other commercial buildings as well. That's also an option.
All right, well, I will get some information together on that question and put that on the agenda for our next meeting.
Okay.
And Larry, one question, those charges were annual. They're not done twice a year like the other.
Correct.
Okay.
The next issue is section 21 that specifies that water bills should list a net and a gross amount. And we don't do that. The water bills just list the amount. And what we do is we charge a 10% penalty if the bill is not paid within 20 days, which is currently the limit. We discussed last time, I think, extending that to 30 days,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
which is no problem. But what we've been doing, but I think we should change this section to match what we do, which is the same thing we've been doing for a long time, as far as I know. And that is adding a 10% penalty after the deadline for paying the bill passes.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's also, after the next 30 days, we add 1% penalty a month. And after 3 months, we raise it to 1.5. And after 3 months with that, we raise it to 2% a month. That apparently we have been doing all along. So that's consistent with what we do. It's just the net and gross amounts and the 10% penalty that we do differently from what the section 21 says.
What's the definition of a net
Plus a
amount?
fixed amount.
I don't think anybody ever knew what those things were.
Julia, are those ability to charge those penalties, is that function automated?
I'm not sure what you're asking. We
In other words-
implement the penalties when that schedule arises. So I do manually enter a routine to charge the 10% after 20 days versus if we did decide to change that for 30 days. Yeah. So that can be changed.
It's what?
It can be changed easily.
But it's not in the system, so the system
System
picks
does
up.
it automatically.
No.
Okay.
Likewise, section 37F deals with the same situation for sewer rates. We do the same thing for sewers that we do for water. So I would suggest that section 37F be changed to the same language we're changing section 21 to.
Makes sense.
Right now, it also talks about things that we don't do, and it has a different penalty schedule from the water penalty schedule. So it makes sense that they should both be the same and they should both be what we do.
Yes.
Section 50 is very interesting. It says all accounts that are not paid within 30 days get a letter from our attorney instructing them to pay within the next 30 days or else.
Never gonna happen.
It also says that failure to pay results in automatic termination of water service. So I don't think we really do any of those things, although it's likely that we might want to keep some language in there that allows the village to terminate water service if it considers an account to be extremely in arrears or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know
I-
that
We
I-
automatically want to do it after 30 days, and I don't think we want the lawyer sending everybody letters.
No.
the city of Saratoga attaches the water bill to your taxes.
Yeah, we do too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
you have to pay it in full
Right.
when you pay your taxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do.
yeah, but
So-
if you had a vacant building and, they had past due and they never paid and
Yeah,
didn't pay their taxes, else we, could at least turn the water off.
agreed. We should be able.
Well, yeah, I guess that to me would be the language, is that if they don't pay their taxes, then whatever utilities is provided by the village or, those services could be shut off.
Well, actually, if they don't pay their taxes, the county pays us for their taxes, and then the county takes on the tax burden, and after 3 years, presumably, they sell the property at auction. So
Okay.
we really get paid anyway.
So what period would we want to use for turning the water off? 90 days or?
I don't think we should specify. I just think we might want to leave in there some language that we have the ability to do that on a case-by-case basis for extreme cases. And then it would require specific board action to do anything about anything.
I could take a look at what some other municipalities do on that, and make some suggestions.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
like
if a building's unoccupied, verifiably unoccupied for a period of time, there's no reason that the water should be left on.
all right.
Yeah. And I think we have to think about this kind of thing and Stephanie should weigh in on this, but saying that we'll decide on it, it'll be decided on a case-by-case basis. I don't know if that is too squishy for, and could be too open to misinterpretation, if you will. I don't know. So
Yeah, I think we would have to lay out a formal procedure, but I'm not even sure whether it's legal I have a note in here to check whether it's legal to actually turn off water, which seems like a habitability issue. If you're terminating it for a place where people are living, I'm not sure you can do that. So I've got a note to check that.
okay, all right.
And sections 51, 52, 53, and 54 all speak to that same issue of turning off water service. So whatever we do with section 50, we want to make sure those other ones are consistent with it, or else that they disappear.
Mhm.
And then the only other thing that I have a question about is in sections 23 and 46, there are penalties established that involve fines up to a maximum amount and jail time up to a maximum amount. And
For water?
We have that language all throughout the code for almost anything, you break the traffic laws, we have the option to charge you $250 or 10 days in jail. That's all throughout the code. And when the revenue committee met, we decided not to touch it. It's up to 250. Stephanie,
Those are statutory. Yep, they come from the code, the laws of the state of New York. So you're just mimicking language from the statutes.
Okay, so those are okay
We're not
then?
gonna- Yep.
Tough crowd, wow.
Okay,
it's an option. It's not required.
Oh, okay. Glad
Yeah,
to
you
hear
do.
it.
all
It
right.
just
so
provides protection.
I see, okay.
That covers
can do.
it. And with that discussion and background, Trustee Cormos and Counselor Ferradino can finish revising that local law. We'll discuss at our next meeting the multiple unit question, and hopefully that'll be the last question to be resolved before we can introduce the local law.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Moving on to new business. Could I have a motion, please, that Noah Stover be appointed as a member of the Junior Firefighter Apprentice Program?
Make that motion.
Motion by Trustee Cormos, second by Trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion to accept the resignation of Joseph Munier and that he be removed from the roles of the Union Fire Company number 2 in the Ballston Spa Fire Department?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Could I have a motion that Curtis Bates and Christina Stangl be appointed as members of the Ballston Spa Fire Department and assigned to the Union Fire Company number 2?
I'll
I,
make that motion.
Motion
I
by,
second it.
I actually heard Trustee Fitzpatrick start to speak first, so she
No,
made
but-
the motion.
no,
Trustee
Sean
Davis
did, Sean did.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. The next motion is about the agreement between the police department and AccuNetworks, our village computer maintenance operation. We did anticipate doing this when we created the budget. There is a budget code existing in the police department's budget with $10,000 in it, labeled AccuNetworks computer maintenance. But nobody ever got around to doing the actual agreement between the police department and the computer outfit saying that they would do that maintenance. So we've got the agreement now, and could I have a motion to approve it?
I make that motion.
Motion by Trustee Cormos. Is there a second? The other two of you are gun shy now.
We
I'm
gotta
giving
work out a
Christina
schedule for
turn.
this.
I
That
need a
was
second.
Sean, he said, no, Sean, did you second it? I didn't hear with the left.
I was giving you the floor.
All right, I'll second it, okay.
Thank you very much. Second by Trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. That motion carries. The next motion is the bid on a fence at Ricketts Dry Cleaner at an estimated cost of $22,500. We did contact 5 fence companies and requested quotes for that fence. Only 2 of them chose to give us quotes, but we did our due diligence and attempted to get 3 quotes. And of the 2 quotes, this company was about $10,000 cheaper than the other. And they also come very highly recommended. They did the fence at Angelica, and The owner, Angelica, was extremely pleased with their work, their promptness, and the quality of their product. So I would ask for a motion to accept the bid from Zorro Fencing to erect a fence and secure the building openings at Ricketts Dry Cleaner site at an estimated cost of $22,500.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion?
Yeah, this fence, is a, typical chain link fence.
Yes,
How high?
I believe it was 6 feet.
6 foot high. And part of the issue with Ricketts is security. Obviously, we don't want people getting into the property, but there's also the visual impact. And so I know you had mentioned, Mayor Wilbright, that, we could place some of the old banners or whatever. I just wondered if that, was still the idea of, because it is not a very sightly building,
Yeah,
and
our code doesn't provide for our spending money on making places look nicer and charging them to people's taxes, only for making places secure and safe. So
Right.
we can put up a fence, but we can't put up something more than it would take to keep people out and keep them from the collapsing roofs and the holes in the floors and so forth.
yeah. Well, I'm
But-
just wondering, does
Yeah.
a wooden fence cost less or more? I mean, it still secures the property, a solid fence. So as just,
But
that
yes,
is
we
one
are
of the
still,
issues.
we are still anticipating that we will adorn the chain link fence with artwork. And actually, Mark Bleck has come up with some interesting ideas that go beyond what I suggested of using old banners and stuff like that. So that's actively in progress.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Well, that motion carries. That brings us to the consent agenda. Any trustee wish any item removed from the consent agenda before we consider it? Hearing none, could I have a motion that we approve the consent agenda?
I make that motion.
Motion by trustee Cormos. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion?
I have just one question. We ended up paving, the original plan was to pave six streets, correct? And we
10th
paved.
Street.
Huh?
10 streets.
Oh, 10th Street, but there's one street we didn't pave,
Yes, we didn't pave Chapman Street. We paved the other 9.
and what, the funds for that, does that just roll over? What happens with,
Well, we don't know yet what the total bill is going to be because everything hasn't come in yet. This is only partial.
okay,
But once we see what the total is, if there's money left that was not spent, then it would roll into unallocated fund balance, just like any other general fund expenditure.
so even if it's CHIPS money, it can roll?
It won't be CHIPS money.
Oh, it won't be, okay, it'll
We'll
be
send-
our piece.
send that
Yeah,
first.
okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now that brings us to trustee liaison reports. Any trustee wish to give a report this meeting? Trustee Cormos.
yes, 2 things. As Mayor Wilbright knows, we received today the signs and the plaque for the Tree City. We are now, have the official Tree City designation, and those signs, hopefully we'll work with DPW to put them up at the entrances to the village so that anyone coming into the village knows we're a Tree City. The other news is that the Complete Streets workshop has been scheduled. It will be done in three parts, of a 2-hour workshop, introduction to Complete Streets, learning about the concepts, followed by the participants actually going to various areas in the village and doing an audit of various intersections and streets. The consultant that's involved, planning for places, is the same consultant that is teaming with VHB on the linkage grant. So there'll be a nice smooth transition from the Complete Streets workshops to the grant. After the audit, there'll be a session for all the attendees to, look at the results of the audit, and Planning for Places will do some preliminary concepts on how we can address some of those issues. The invitation has gone out to all those people that committed to attending the workshops initially, that we reported into CDTC. We've asked for them to reserve their spot. It will be a virtual Zoom meeting by Wednesday, and then we'll put it out to the other people who were invited but did not respond. And then eventually, if we have room, we can accommodate up to 100 participants. If we have room, we'll put it out to the public for public participation as well.
And I did RSVP to that today, so I'll let you know if I hear anything back from them or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Liz, how many people are in the initial group that
I
originally?
think we got like 35,
Yeah, it was
an initial group. We have, I think, 3 or 4 from the school district. Also, folks from Milton and Ballston, invited as well. And, a broad range of individuals. Of course, the whole planning and zoning departments, boards, they all indicated that they would attend, which is important. DPW. I think it's going to be a really good
Yeah.
workshop.
Mm-hmm. Looks great. Thank you.
Any other liaison reports? Okay. Moving on. We do have an item of other business tonight. I did not notice until I was going over my agenda for the last time last night that the budget transfers weren't on it. The trustees received in their packets of information on Thursday a list of budget transfers, as we do most meetings. And the clerk apologizes profusely for having left it off the agenda, but I figured since everybody had seen those ahead of time, there wouldn't be any problem doing it under other business. So could I have a motion to approve the budget transfers for November 9th?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the board tonight? If not, that brings us to public comment. If anybody wants to address the board, please raise your hand. And when I unmute you, please begin your comments by giving us your name and address, please. So I will recognize Ben Baskin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Thanks. I just had a couple thoughts about the park. Looks very nice. One thing is, I think real brick could be difficult for people in wheelchairs or with walkers or canes. So that would be a concern of mine with real brick as it becomes more and more uneven. So maybe there's some smoother alternative. If you're not going to be showing movies on the wall, that would be a great wall for some kind of mural. And I don't know if you can work into the budget some money for a mural, but it just sort of screams for mural right there if you're not doing other things on that wall. And then the other thought is it might be nice to have at least one table, like a square table with chairs or benches away from the pavilion in case there's a big group in the pavilion. It looked like there was room just next to the Christmas tree on that side. And you could even make it one of those tables that has a checkerboard or a chessboard on it where people could sit and play chess or something. But those are just thoughts about the park. I'm a little concerned about moving the farmer's market to Brookside just because it's, it's not central anymore. But you can try that. If it doesn't work, you can move it back. And what was the other thought? Oh, I'm glad Stephanie said something about the issue of turning off water, because that's a very, very serious issue. If you have a family and you're turning their water off, I know that's a utility, and like electricity, it's very heavily regulated when a power company and turn electricity off. And imagine it would be similarly discouraged for water. That's a real public health and safety issue to turn someone's water off. So I'm glad you're looking at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Baskin. Next, I will recognize Ray Otten.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? I just wanted to update on the reverse parade. When we had our meeting on that, because community emergency was obviously incorporated into that, we did talk about getting in touch with Sheriff Zerlo and incorporating sheriff cars into the parade also, when we talked about going outside the village proper. So that option has already been discussed and is in the works now. And our feeling was that the sheriff would probably jump on it without a problem. So especially being it's going to have a Toys for Tots theme. So I just wanted to update you on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Let me scroll through here and see if there are any other hands. I see, yes, Donna Dardaris.
Hi, Donna Dardaris, 64 Middle Street. I just wanted to publicly thank the great guys on the DPW crews that came out and worked on the streets doing the repaving. They were super. They were here when they said they were going to be. They were done when they said they were going to be done. And they kept the residents informed about what the issues were going to be, where we had alternate parking. And something that I was thinking was going to be a real inconvenience turned out to be just a very smooth process. And the street is like 100% better now. So I just wanted to publicly thank Jeff Gowries and his crew, his street crew, for the paving.
Great, that's wonderful to hear. I really appreciate your telling us that, and I will certainly pass it on to Jeff and to the DPW. I will scroll through one more time and see if there are any other hands, and I don't see any. Last call, oh, there's a hand. I will unmute Mandy Ryder, no, Mrs. Ryder.
Larry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is just a very quick comment. I think someone already made this comment before. I think the renovations to Wiswell Park sound fantastic, but I've been to, over the years, many concerts there and obviously the movies. My concern was when I heard that Liz was saying about having the brick sidewalks, because I have driven people there and helped them on the walk going in to enjoy the concert, and they've had walkers or canes, and I just don't know how they would be comfortable being on a brick sidewalk with the walkers. But thanks for all the work that you've done, Liz. It sounds wonderful.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Ryder.
You're welcome.
We'll look for something that works for everybody.
Last call on public comment. I don't see any other hands. All right, so I will close the public comment. Thank you to the 10 people who attended the meeting tonight and the 4 of you who spoke. And I will ask for a motion to approve vouchers number 21-00708 to 21-00972 and to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Fitzpatrick. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by trustee Cormos. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Thank you very much, everyone. The meeting is adjourned. And good night, all.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Larry.
Thank you, Larry.